not all of us, not everyone listening to this works with kids specifically, but these questions of identity and belonging and purpose are questions that that stay with us throughout our lives. Maybe not quite as intensely as at the very beginning when we're teenagers and in our 20s, but they continue. So maybe what thoughts do you have in terms of continuing to work with people as pastors or as ministry leaders, and how can kind of these questions and these principles help us in our leadership?
Yeah, it's really helped me understand the attitudes and actions of young people, including my own teenagers. So, it's been said that there's a belief behind every behavior. And what I've learned to do in the last year, thanks to our research and this book, is, when I see a young person doing something that just doesn't totally make sense to me, seems a little out of character, there's just heat around an issue for them. If I look at it through the lens of identity, belonging, and purpose, what wasn't making sense to me and initially all of a sudden makes sense. It's like the penny drops and I all of a sudden understand, oh, she's hungering for identity or belonging or purpose. In fact, I just had an experience last week with our 15-year-old daughter where she was not excited to go to camp, which is unusual for our kids. We're a family that signs up immediately for camp. And it turned out because she didn't have a lot of friends going. And so she was struggling with belonging. Like, will there be other kids there in my grade, et cetera? It turned out that her closest friend at church did end up signing up. And so I'm thinking, this is great. Like, this shifts her into a for sure yes. But she was hesitant, and I was thinking, what is going on? I thought this would clinch it for her. And so I asked her. I said, we were out to dinner, the two of us, and I said, I'm just a little confused because I would have thought that when so and so decided to go, that would have made the difference for you. And she said, I didn't want to be the kind of person who only went because my friends are going. So initially she had been struggling with belonging. But then once that belonging need got met, it switched into an identity question for her. And I was like, well, of course that makes sense that you're wrestling with this. Like, who am I? Who am I? And am I the kind of person who only goes with my friends? But so this, this hesitancy that had been baffling to me all of a sudden made sense. And so, when you see a young person doing something, resisting something, passionate about something, having any kind of strong response, if we stop and ask ourselves, are they looking for identity, belonging, and or purpose? We normally can make better sense of what they're doing and why they're doing it.
I mean, that makes so much sense. And I think makes sense in the context even of working with adults,
Absolutely.
Navigating change, as leaders are always trying to figure out, okay, how's God leading us next? And there's always resistance of some kind. Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's just a little bit. But framing it in terms of how does that affect people's sense of identity, belonging, or purpose?
Absolutely.
And it's, I think Ronald Heifetz said that people don't resist change, they resist loss.
Absolutely.
So if there's a loss of identity, right, or a loss of what my purpose or my sense of belonging, any thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. These are not just young people questions. These are people questions that we're all wrestling with. And so, I ask myself, like, if I feel heat over, it can be anything as lame, Marcus, as somebody not texting me back. I mean, let's just get totally honest here. Like, I texted them, they didn't text me back. And if that creates some heat in me, normally it's because, that silence from that friend or that coworker somehow is threatening my identity, or usually it's my identity or belonging for me. And so this is a grid that we can use to understand ourselves better, understand adults better, and then understand young people better.